Hello, lovely humans, and welcome back to my channel. This week's video, we are going to be talking about some of the best and worst advice you guys have ever gotten. Now, a while ago on Instagram, I jumped on and asked you guys for your direct feedback. Like, what is some of the best advice and some of the worst advice you've ever got about wedding planning? And your responses are so good. So go grab yourself a cup of coffee or a cup of tea, and we're going to chat through some of the best and the worst advice. So without further ado, let's just jump right on into it. Speaking of amazing advice, we have a sponsor for this week's video. And not only does it make me feel like I've made it on some level, but I've actually really wanted to partner with this company for a long time, and that is HelloFresh. For those of you who don't know, I am a mom of 3. I have 2 YouTube channels, a podcast, and a wedding planning business. Not to mention we do some wedding consulting on the side. So my life is pretty freaking full. Not only do I not really have a whole lot of time to go grocery shopping, and I don't have a whole lot of time to meal prep either, but I absolutely love cooking. It's like a form of therapy for me. So every once in a while when I get in this recipe rut, I need something to kind of shake me on out of that. And that is where HelloFresh comes in perfectly. Not only does it help me break out of our recipe merry-go-round where I just keep rotating the same things in and out that I'm sure my family is sick of, but it does help me save a lot of time. I don't have to worry about meal prep. I don't have to spend 41 minutes going to the grocery store, because that's how long the average trip is to the grocery store. Unless you're my husband hungry shopping, and then it's like an hour and 41 minutes. And because life is so chaotic and so full, I'm sometimes not super effective at using the food that we had purchased. So every once in a while, I hate to say it, but we will be tossing away some fruits or some vegetables or some proteins that we didn't have a chance to get to. But with HelloFresh, they send you exactly what you need for the recipe, which means we are wasting a lot less food. And thanks to their larger box size, there are more servings that can feed my entire family. And lastly, I think it's pretty stinking rad that a company like this makes such a big effort to give back. In fact, in 2019 alone, they donated over 2.5 million meals to charity. And this year, they're working to do even more. Life is full and life is crazy. And sometimes one of the best, most healing things that I can do for me and my family is to enjoy cooking a home-cooked meal. And I know that wedding planning is just as time-consuming, so you know what your girl did to help you out. We got you a discount code. Go to HelloFresh.com and use my code JamieWolfer90 to get $90 off, including free shipping on your first box. Guys, I am so excited to be partnering with HelloFresh. Feel free to grab all that information down below in the description box. All right, so let's dive into some of these responses. Best wedding advice was week of the wedding, direct all of your questions to somebody else, whether it be your planner, your maid of honor, or whoever, but there's no need for you to answer any questions as the bride at that point. Freaking men. I mean, full disclosure, this was one of my brides who shared this information, and I don't know if it was me who told her this or somebody else, but like, I still agree with it. That's a great idea, because the last week or so, everyone is going to be coming to you with questions. In fact, on the day of your wedding, you will get people texting you, calling you, being like, I can't wait to see you later. And you're literally getting makeup put on your face, and they're calling you to be like, hey, I think I'm gonna be like 5 minutes late. And you're like, I could care, like, thanks, but no thanks. Just do your best to disconnect and send all of the questions to anyone but you, because you're about to get married and it's going to be a very fun day, but it's going to be very emotionally taxing. So give yourself space and send everybody to somebody else. Make a separate wedding email. Amazing for sharing info with your soon-to-be spouse and keeps the clutter out of your normal inbox. Amen. I 100% think that this is a great idea, because also, once your wedding's over, you can delete it. That means you're not getting newsletter emails from your venue for the next 9 years if you're not interested. Best, it's okay to take a break from wedding planning, and no one knows what it's supposed to be or look like. This is gold, yes. In my experience with myself and with my clients, it's like 2 weeks of hardcore planning and then like 3 weeks of pretending you're not getting married at all. I don't know what it is about that cycle that is just so grounding. I mean, that's exactly what I did. That's what so many of my clients do. I just think it's something we kind of naturally do. It's a cycle. So feel free to take breaks from wedding planning, especially in a year like this year. Like, let yourself off the hook and take a break, and every once in a while just pretend like you don't have the biggest party of your life looming in front of you. I mean, waiting for you. Set aside some time after the ceremony for just you and your partner, with no cameras or anyone else allowed. We put it in the photo time so no one would even know. That is so sweet. I love when this happens. It's a long day. Like, your wedding day is going to be so fun, but it's going to be so emotional. So even like the most extroverted of people might need just 5 minutes to go like pop a breath mint and breathe for a second. So personally, I 10 out of 10 recommend trying to like carve out that time. I find it's best after the ceremony, after the photos, during cocktail hour, before you do your grand entrance, try to carve out like 5 to 10 minutes in that space. Or if you can't find it there, after you've eaten dinner, instead of doing table visits, that's another opportunity for you to steal away. So just something to kind of keep in mind, because it's a long day. It's a fun day and it's full of great and joyous emotions, but like you might need a minute. Oh, a huge chunk of the best advice I've gotten has come from you. Hi, Rachel. You're the cutest. What I've learned is that you are either paying by your time or your money. You can't do it all. This is, if you've been around here for like more than 2 seconds, you know, like you either spend the time or you spend the money. So what do you have more of to spend? Don't be afraid to ask your friends and family for help. Also, delegate tasks to them when you can. Oftentimes they'll be honored to be a part of your big day. Oh, my future mother-in-law's crocheting shawls for myself and my bridesmaids, and she couldn't be happier. So this isn't something that affects each and every single bride, but a lot of them are like, I don't really feel like, I don't want to ask, I don't want to impose, I don't want to put too much pressure on my family or on my friends. But what you don't realize is a lot of them might be really excited to help. So it doesn't hurt to ask. Just be sure to like not pile it all on them. Just do your best to be an effective and honest communicator, and be willing to hear some feedback if they're unable to help. Okay, so super sweet for some of those, but let's go into some of the worst advice. Okay, wouldn't say it's the worst advice, but both my mom and my fiance told me to calm down on wedding projects less than 4 months before the wedding. Do they not realize 4 months is like 2 weeks in wedding time? Okay, first of all, telling a bride to calm down, like, that's your funeral, bro. Like, if you want to do that, that's fine. But perhaps using different language, helping your partner to recognize that he or she is really taking a lot of stuff on, and perhaps it's affecting your relationship or their mental health. It's fine to go ahead and say like, hey, I just want to check in with you. It seems like there's a lot on your plate and it might be stressing you out. Can I take some of those items from you? Is there anything I can do to assist you, instead of like, whoa, you need to calm down. Like, I'll go for the like, how can I help, instead of like, you're freaking out, man, you need to stop. Just take it from a married woman. Things tend to go better that way. Worst advice, you need to pick out everything ASAP, including bridesmaids. Ooh, that's, take your time. Worst decision I made. I ended up having to replace 2 bridesmaids and hated the dresses I picked out. I get needing to make sure you get that stuff done in time, but man, don't rush someone into those decisions. Doing things in a timely manner and rushing to make those decisions are 2 different things. When it comes to selecting your bridal party, it does not need to be done immediately. There are a couple people out there that are like, we got to do it, we got to get it done, I have to pick these people out so they have plenty of time to plan. You can give yourself a month, 2 months, 3 months. I mean, once you hit the 6-month mark, you're probably crunching it a little bit too tight, because they will need time to order their attire, which tends to take quite a while. But don't feel like you need to rush into any of those decisions. And if your gut doesn't feel good about some of those decisions, feel free to take a beat and process through that before making a decision. Worst, you need to get married within a year of your engagement. No, I don't. Both of us are currently still studying full-time, and our budget barely allows us to do anything besides the bare minimum necessities. Yes, because there's no time limit on this. You can have a 2-year engagement. Well, it's a lot less common. It's totally possible. You could have a 5-year engagement. You could have a 7-year engagement. People might have feedback or commentary on it, but remember, this is your love story and your life and your money. So if you want to take some time and save up that cash, there should be no reason that you feel like you have to go in debt for your wedding day. So feel free to take your time and manage your finances responsibly. And especially if you are working and in school, or you have multiple commitments happening in life, y'all know planning a wedding takes a really long time. So let yourself off the hook, give yourself permission to extend that engagement beyond the typical 12-month time frame, all right? Worst advice, you need an aisle runner. If your venue is outside on a windy day, bad idea. I actually really don't like aisle runners in general. Like the quintessential aisle runners, that's like the white fabric. I've never had a good experience with them. I just don't particularly like them in general. They don't lay flat on grass. They don't look great on cement. If you're gonna do an aisle runner, I actually prefer the idea of buying a rug that you can then use in your home later. I think that's always really sweet because the rugs that you have in your home are much more sturdy and thicker than your traditional aisle runner is. So in a lot of circumstances, I actually really don't recommend them. Worst advice, your guests are expecting that, or that's not how weddings go. If, you already know about what to say. You do you. A lot of people have a traditional idea of what weddings should be, but in the last few years, we've seen the shift from what's considered traditional or expected to what is the priority for you and your spouse to be. If you were ever looking for someone to give you permission, to let you off the hook, to say, you don't have to do that, this is that moment. All right? You don't have to do a garter toss. You don't have to do a bouquet toss. You don't have to do cake cutting. You don't even have to do a grand entrance. I have had several brides recently be like, what if we just walked in? Like, what if it wasn't grand per se and we just calm entrance? Can we do that? Is that possible? Is that allowed? And I was like, absolutely. We can do this in so many different ways. So if the idea of dancing into your reception makes you physically cringe, guess what? You're off the hook. You don't need to do that. Sandra, best advice, have fun. Worst advice, let's plan it in 2020 instead of 2019. That one hurts a little. We're all in this together, sis. And last but not least, worst advice, consider others. F that noise. You do you and the way you and your partner want things and no one else, period. Guys, basically the whole intent behind this channel is to help you plan your wedding masterfully. That's why we have the master plan, which by the way, we are probably gonna be doing a sale on coming up sometime soon. So be sure to hit that subscribe button for when we do announce it, or follow us over on Instagram because it's gonna be a pretty hefty chunk off, all right? At the end of the day, this wedding is about you and your partner and your love story, all right? And everything else is just noise. And you have the power to choose what that noise is. It can either be a song that you really enjoy jamming out to or some sort of blaring heavy metal aggressive screamo bands, okay? Are heavy metal screamo bands a thing? That's all we have for this week's video, guys. Thank you so much for stopping by. If you like this video, be sure to jump on down there and give it a thumbs up. Let me know some of the best and worst advice you have received while planning your wedding. And of course, if you would like to check out HelloFresh, use code JamieWolfer90 for $90 off. Your life is already pretty stinking full. Skip a trip to the grocery store and get meals delivered straight to you. Oh, and subscribe while you're at it. And until next week, bye guys.